All right. So I said it in some of my other patch notes videos, but I'm not gonna do these videos for patches that don't really have a ton of content. Like we've had a couple patches since this current one that were just like little bug fixes and stuff. I don't see them in here, but I'm not gonna do videos on those. I'm gonna wait for patches that are a little bit meatier, that usually have balance issue or balance resolutions, I guess, or whatever. But in this case, it's not a very big patch note, but it's pretty significant. There's really only changes to basically life on hit and a couple set bonuses. So again, not a very hefty one in terms of quantity, but it's a pretty significant one. So we're going to start off here talking about life on hit. Before we get into this, I'm a little disappointed in how slow they responded to this. Now, I am the type that I'm fine with sitting and waiting and seeing how things play out before changes are made, right? Like the druid stuff, whatever, all of that stuff I was willing to, they were fairly quick with addressing them, but I was willing to kind of wait even a little bit longer to see how things played out. The life on hit issue was massive. I think this needed to be addressed immediately. I don't know how long it's been an issue, because obviously this has always been in the game, right? Life on hit was always in the game. It was only recently that people started putting together kits for life on hit, but it immediately became a problem that was extremely apparent to everybody playing the game. I don't like that they waited so long. I am glad they've addressed it, and whether they've addressed it properly or not, I'm not sure yet, but I feel like they needed to like disable it just immediately when it became a problem. Disable it, fix it, come back to it when they're ready. This was such a glaring issue with the game that I feel it needed to be addressed immediately, and I'm a little disappointed that it took them this long. So I will say that. It's nice that they've addressed it before the Klothos' trial started. That would have been horrible if we went into that with this being such a huge issue. So I'm glad they fixed it there, but there were a lot of people unhappy with the life on hit thing, and because it was such a glaring issue and people were abusing the ever-loving shit out of it, I feel like it put the economy in an awkward state too, because all those people that were using it and abusing it and just farming like crazy are now going to be ahead of people that didn't farm with it. So again, a little disappointed with how long they took to address this. But at least they finally addressed it, I guess. I feel like if they took any longer, I mean, it already might have been too long, but I feel like if they took any longer, a lot of people probably would have stopped playing. A lot of people did stop playing, waiting for this to be fixed. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of like knee-jerk reactions to things. Again, I'm fine with letting things play out, but this was extremely apparent to everybody, and I think it just took a little too long for them to address. So again, I'm not sure if how they addressed it is going to work. I do see some issues potentially with it, but we're gonna go over that. But yeah, they have addressed it, so let's see. Please be aware, maintenance, blah, 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 blah. New content called the Call of the Trials event from now until August 31st. Participate in the event to claim tons of rewards, including exclusive cosmetics. We'll look at that real quick. I don't know if I can pop it up anywhere. It popped up when I first got in game. It's like a daily login thing. I don't know if I can find it though. I don't know where it is. Anyway, it's like a daily login event. You log in on day 7, you get some like helmet thing, a bucket helmet. This thing. On day 7, you get this thing. So hey, if you like buckets, big buckets on your head, yeah, make sure you log in. So anyway, moving back to the actual meaty stuff. All right, here we go. Equipment balance affix life on hit. Dev comment. Certain high frequency, wide range attacks in the game, when combined with the affixes like life on hit, are providing way too much value and hindering our ability to design new valuable affixes. Soul energy on hit, anyone? To address this, we've implemented correction coefficients for different attacks so they no longer receive full benefits from hit-related affixes. So for weapons, dual wield swords are now 0.5, so you're going to get half of the life that you would normally. So if you've got 1 life on hit, you're only getting 0.5. Fire staff initial hits, so all the little ones, are 0.25. The fire staff final hit, again, if you've played Apex Legends, it's a charge rifle. So the initial charge up hits 0.25. The big final hit is you get the full 1-to-1 value. With lightning staff, it's only 0.5. And then orb weapon enchantments, melee damage 0. So I assume that means, like, I don't play casters too much, but I assume, does that mean if you enchant your, so when you right click, when you do a heavy with any sort of orb weapon, your main hand weapon gets an ice enchantment on it. So it sounds like if you enchant your weapon, you just don't get damage on hit, or life on hit now. Here's what I'm getting from that. I don't know if that's good, bad, ugly, but there it is. Cryomancer skill, Q skill, Ice Storm, first stage is 0.5. Cryomancer Q skill, Ice Storm, second stage is 0.25. Cryomancer Q skill, Frostbite Curse is 0.5. Death Knight Q skill, Soul Shroud, 0.5. Death Knight Q skill, Soul Storm, 0.5. And then Swordmaster E skill, Whirling Blade, 0.5. So yeah, you're basically getting half the value on everything now, and a quarter of the value on the Ice Storm, the second stage of Ice Storm for Cryomancer. So again, I think I think Cryomancer and Death Knight were the biggest culprit. I don't know if it really needed to be applied to Swordmaster's Whirling Blade. I don't know how many hits are in a Whirling Blade. I've never actually tested it, but I feel like it's not crazy. But I mean, it is another one of those skills where you just press a button and now you don't have to really do anything. You do kind of have to steer it, unlike like Frostbite Curse or either of the soul abilities for Death Knight. But yeah. And even Fairy of the Lake now, the damage from the fairy is only 0.5 that you get from it. So before we move on to set stuff, so here's the problem now. I'm gonna check, but the problem is life on hit gear. Let's see if I have any. I was not using the crutch, so I mostly didn't keep any around. There we go. So here's the problem. This says 2 life on hit, right? Obviously, now we get half of that, for example, with the DK stuff. The problem is it doesn't say it anywhere, right? So they've made these changes. So a new player is going to come in. They're going to say, oh, I've got 3 life on hit. They're going to start hitting things. They're not going to be getting 3 life on hit. They're going to be getting half of that or a quarter of that or whatever. And that, I feel, is a huge problem. There's too many variables in this game that there's just no information on. So again, you're seeing one thing as a new player, or even a player that's been playing for a while and doesn't really follow patch notes or anything like that. You come into the game later after this whole fiasco. You have no idea. You just see 3 life on hit. You assume you're getting three life on hit. You're not getting 3 life on hit. So people are going to assume it's either bugged or broken or something's messed up. And that's a huge issue. The lack of information and clarity on stuff leads to people believing there are issues with the game that are broken. It leads to misinformation. It leads to so many problems, and that is bad. That is very, very bad. So I don't know. They need to address that further. Because just having that in the patch notes, where do you find that otherwise? Where do you find that kind of information otherwise? I don't even know how you do it. I was thinking, because like right now I have the thing turned on to show the affixed variable ranges. So like the 3 to 4, this could roll with 3 to 4 life on hit or whatever. I don't know how you add that much information and not just start cluttering stuff up, right? If you're using this as a death knight, your Qs only get half and your other shit only gets a quarter or whatever. That I feel is going to be a problem. I don't know how they resolve that necessarily, because personally I felt that they should have just made it so you only got life on hit when you were actively hitting with a weapon, not with abilities, not with anything else, just with weapons. And that would have, I feel like that would have been a way simpler solution, and you wouldn't have run into this issue. So again, now we have this issue where numbers are showing one thing, but in practice, you're getting something completely different, and there's nowhere, anywhere that says it. Even if they added like some kind of text onto the descriptions of these abilities, this ability only gains 0.5 of on-hit effects or something. They need that information. Communication information is goddamn paramount in video games right now. And there's no excuse not to, with how much social media and everything, there's no reason you can't be actively like communicating stuff. Obviously, you're not going to tell people to look at the Twitter or whatever to see this stuff, but just in general, communication and information is massive. So they have to address that. They have to address it. I know it's an early access game, but it needs to be addressed. So yeah, that's basically it for life on hit stuff. Is it fixed? I don't know. Again, it's going to be one of those things where you have to let it play out. Maybe not. I don't know. Time will tell. At least they've done something. But again, I think it's now brought up this bigger issue of a lack of information, which is not good. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Moving on to set bonus affixes. So Fairy of the Lake. Now, I personally haven't used Fairy of the Lake a ton. I did build a Klothos' Trial set that uses the full 30 of Fairy of the Lake. But I didn't test it thoroughly to see how good it actually was. But I was hearing from a lot of people that it was very strong because it was like AoE damage and shields for your teammates. So it sounds really good. But yeah, Fairy of the Lake dev comment. The Fairy of the Lake set was too effective in melee combat, offering both damage and survivability. We've adjusted it to reducing melee benefits while maintaining efficiency for ranged attacks. The fairy no longer deal. The fairy. Am I reading this wrong, or is it just a little worded a little strange? It might be a little off in the translations, but the fairy no longer. Is that plural of fairy? No longer deal area damage or provide area shields, only single target damage, which I think is still good. So you're still going to be getting, I'll go take a look at that real quick. So where is it? Where's my fairy stuff? Right here. So when dealing unblocked direct damage, summon a fairy that pursues the target After hitting the target, the fairy explodes, dealing 50 holy damage to the target. Double the damage, and then did they remove the initial shields? I thought you got initial shields, but maybe that's only on the return. Either way, significantly reduces the fairy speed, and upon returning, apply a 100-point shield for 5 seconds to yourself. Oh yeah, they made a bunch of changes here, because it used to be it did 50 damage and you got 50 shields, and then I forget exactly what it was. I think that the second stage was like double the damage, but I think it was also, I think it was double the effects. So both the damage and the shield. And then on return, it was like, oh, okay. And then they removed the damage on return as well. Basically, it used to be when it went out, it did damage and shields in an AoE. When it returned, then you doubled that from 50 to 100, and then when it returned, it did the same effect, damage in an area and shields, so it repeated it. So yeah, they've basically yeah, they removed one half of the shields, I guess the pursuit shields, and now you only get shields when they come back, and then you get the damage on the attack, and then shields on the return, basically, instead of both on both. Yeah, I think that's how it works. Okay. Let's get back to it here. Level 3 no longer deals area damage or provides area shields to teammates upon return. It only applies a single target shield to the set bonus holder. Yeah, so they've removed the damage on return and the AoE shields, and now it's just your shields. Which, I mean, I still think it's fine. You're still doing 100 extra damage when it goes out, and then you're still getting 100 shields when it returns. So you're still getting some benefit from it. I'm probably still going to use it in my Klothos' trial build. I don't really know what else I would use instead. I still think it's decent. It's still damage. It's still shields. Now it's just a little more selfish, I guess, but I'm fine with that. Force of Trinity no longer causes area effects. Instead, deals single target damage to the target, allowing ranged classes to choose this set as well. Now only affects enemy player targets to prevent wasting their valuable set bonus effect in PvE. That's kind of nice, because that's something I've noticed as well. I think actually with Fairy, because Fairy works against PvE too, I believe. Forget, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of another ability, but either way, that's kind of nice that it doesn't work against PvE. Although if you're bossing, you might want that. I'm not actually sure what Force of Trinity is. Let's look at that real quick, because that's a set I haven't used. Force of Trinity. Surely I have one in here somewhere. Oh, here we go. After dealing 3 instances of unblocked direct damage from attacks or skills within 3 seconds to an enemy player, deal 100 physical to the target enemy. Wait, did they say they changed it to make that work for range too? How the hell are you gonna get 3 crossbow shots in 3 seconds? On somebody? The vulnerability was always a thing, and then ply 80% slow to the target, decaying over 5 seconds. Unless by range they meant like pyros with like pyro staffs, those I guess could hit 3 times in 3 seconds. What did they say? Allowing ranged classes to choose. Okay, so yeah, they probably don't mean rogue. like crossbows. I'm pretty sure they mean like pyro staffs, the searing staffs, and then obviously the lightning staff as well. Okay. And then optimized performance when opening the inventory during combat, updated the auction UI to show final sale price after a successful transaction. So yeah, again, not really too much meat here, but I wanted to go over the life on hit thing because that it was something that was putting the game in a very unhealthy state. So again, it's nice that they addressed it. I do think they waited a little too long. Again, I'm not somebody that wants like knee-jerk reactions to stuff. I do want things to play out, but it was very, very apparent that life on hit was an issue and needed to be addressed. I personally think if something is that big of an issue, you need to disable it before anything gets crazy, and then work on it. Nobody's hurt by that. Sure, little Jimmy or whatever that decided to use that crutch and try and build a full life on hit kit, his shit's now disabled. Tough shit for trying to use a crutch. But it's not like it's gone forever, right? You just put that gear on the shelf and you come back when it's fixed and not busted. So yeah, I personally think they should have disabled it immediately and started working on it and not let it get to the point that it did, where everybody was running it. If you wanted to compete, you had to be running it. But it is what it is. The damage is done now. I don't know how much damage was done, but I know it was not, people were not happy, and I don't blame them. There's a reason I was not doing my 0 to heroes running in classic, is because that shit was just everywhere and it was not fun. I'd rather just run greens and casuals and have some fun, you know? So we'll see. Again, they've addressed it at least a little bit. I don't know if it's going to fix the issue. I'm going to give that time and see how that goes. But the biggest thing for me is the information part of it, that there's no information on how it actually works now. There's, again, people are going to see that number, that 3 life on hit, assume they're supposed to get 3 life on hit, and they're not going to be getting 3 life on hit consistently on everything. And I think that's bad because there's no information anywhere on it. As far as I've seen, I haven't seen any information. There's nothing on abilities. There's nothing on the affix text or anything like that. So that is something I think very much needs to be addressed and needs to be something they consider in the future. That you need that information in the game. You very, very much need that information in the game. Because again, it just leads to misinformation and speculation and people thinking your game is busted. But yeah, that's basically it for the patch notes. Again, I wanted to address this because I do think it was pretty important. Not a very meaty patch, but address something that is very significant and was ruining the health of this game. So we'll see how it all plays out. Yeah, we've got a bit of time until Klothos's trial where things are gonna get sweaty, so we'll see if that's gonna resolve some of that issue. But yeah, that's gonna do it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.